Well, good afternoon, YouTube. I'm gonna do something a little different. Today is Sunday. It's not a work day, but I start preparing for the week Sunday, as far as getting stuff ready for work, charging car bugs and whistles and radios, and getting chains and saws prepared. I don't have any work saws with me at the moment. They're all doing fine. I got everything caught up, but typically most of the videos that you're gonna see me post have been yarding related of some kind or another. Um, this one's gonna be a little different. This is I don't take this video and run with it as far as do's and don'ts. This is just my personal opinion from experience of my own. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. Just a little bit of some of the saws that we run in the Pacific Northwest, and the modifications you can get away with, and the things you can do to make a good saw, a better, an even better saw as far as performance goes. And I am actually the only one um, with a saw where I work that is highly modified. And this is my personal saw. I've had this for, oh, criminy, since I was back in high school. I bought it. Actually got a really good deal on it. I got the saw, 2 bars, I think 2 or 3 chains, a wedge belt, like 3 or 4 wedges, and like probably 2.5, 3 gallons bar oil and some saw mix, actually, for $400. That was back in 2009, 2010, something like that. And it left me for a little while. I traded it off, and just recently, a few months ago, got it back. I left logging for about a year and 3 months, and decided to come back to it. And I wound up with my old saw back, and basically picked up right where we left off, with a few modifications here and there. But anyway, this is a 046 Magnum. It is legal. When I got it back, it was not legal as far as regulations for fire season and Forest Service is concerned. It has been put back into legal operation since then. I did take it to work with it being illegal, and just so happens that the one day that I did bring it, they showed up to look at fire extinguishers and check out the saws, and needless to say, he told me not to bring it back unless I had spark arresters on it. So I jumped right on that. I knew I needed to do it. I knew I shouldn't have had it at work with me, but I just like my saw so much that I had to have it. It doesn't get ran very often, but I do a little bit of work with it, and when I do any saw work, this is my weapon of choice. Anyways, as far as being legal goes in the Pacific Northwest with Forest Service, BLM, any of that kind of stuff, this is about as modified as a muffler you can have in all my findings with it being Forest Service legal. When you get a saw from a dealership, it's only got one port, and it's right here on a still. This is an NWP dual port muffler. I bought a whole brand new one, just got rid of the old one. I could have just bought a new cover for it, and that would have been just fine, but I decided, they're about the same price, so might as well just buy a whole new one. So it's legal. I've got a screen in the side port and a screen here. So now I'm legal. I'm all good to go. They are legal. You can run them. You can have a dual port on a saw. They make them for 44s, 46s, 660s, all the above, really and truly. The other modification of this saw that I did years back is I gave it new life and put an NWP 54 millimeter big bore kit in it. That's 2 millimeters larger than they come stock. I could have just put a new 52 millimeter in it, but I wanted a little extra juice out of it. They were the same price. I thought, okay, why not? So it's had that in there ever since. It's been working really fine. It did give it new life. It gave it some more power. I think if you have it tuned up just right and you're running good gas in your saw, that's like 6 cc's extra power you get out of this saw. Don't quote me on any other ones, but that's kind of my trial by error synopsis on that. A new purchase recently have been these hellaciously oversized felling dogs. They're probably a little overkill for anything I do with it, but I figured why not. I like them. I don't recommend you fall down with the saw on your shoulder because chances are it's probably not going to end well for you. I am the only one currently where I work that runs these small of bars, or this type of bar for that matter. This is just a personal preference. I don't need a 32 or 36 inch bar most days. I'm pretty short to the ground anyways, so this works just fine for me. It is a full comp. It's round ground. I don't have a chisel bit grinder. I can hand file chisel bit. I don't like doing that. It's very time consuming. But this is a 28 Tsujihara. Very good bar. Very lightweight. And they're a lot more sturdier than other lightweight bars that I've tried in the past. You will pay a price for them. The first mistake I made when I bought this bar, though, is I bought it online, and I bought 50 gauge, and all my chains and everything I've ever ran has always been 63 gauge. That was my fault. I could send the bar back and wait 2 weeks, get my money back, and then buy the right bar for gauge size, but I figured, you know what, I'll just go ahead and buy a couple 50 gauge chains and just run with it. I do have another 28 inch, that's 63 gauge, my Oregon Power Match. Also a good bar, not lightweight, but is a good bar. That's what I have been running on this until I got my hands on this one. And they're, up there in the $138 range for a Tsujihara. And I have a 36 Tsujihara out in my pickup. I only have one chain for it. For that bar and a full comp chain for that, that was about $220. Like I said before, that's just a personal preference. I like the bars, I like the chains. The saw has plenty of power to pull them. Full comp. There's quite a lot of guys don't like full comp because of there's so many teeth. Like I said, it's a personal preference. You can run semi-skip, full comp, whatever you want to do. 3/8, 404. I prefer 63 gauge. This one's 50. I'll make do. The other thing is I'm also running an 8-tooth sprocket, drive sprocket on this saw. Not your normal 7. The other couple things that have been done to this is it has a 460 ignition coil, which is different than an 046 would be. The timing has been sped up, so it runs a little bit hotter, runs a little bit faster. I do have the carburetor adjusted accordingly, and I also run the Maxfill airbox system on it. This has been on there ever since I put the big bore on it. I've had it on there. My intervals for cleaning the filters and doing just little minor checkup work is once a week. So if it gets ran at all, if it gets ran any sort of period time, I will take it apart over the weekend. I will service it. I will clean it. I'm just waiting on this to dry. This was completely caked when I took it out this morning. So it's all clean, just drying, and I will re-oil this and put it back on. Instead of just the other filters that just go on here from like the factory that you blow out and put back on there. These are oil bathed. I use 2 different kinds of spray oil on these, just kind of like a dirt bike, which I'm very accustomed to. This has always been a really good oil for filters, in my opinion. And also the K&N. I've used both. I don't have a personal preference on either of them. They work both the same just fine to me. I also have the K&N air filter cleaner, which I use. Also, Dawn dish soap works just fine, and some warm water. Either or, it does get done. It gets done regularly. So, when I'm not running equipment and logging, this is the other thing that I do. Not only do I deal with my own saw, but I take care of the company saws that I have in my possession. I don't have any in possession right now. They're all running fine. There's a bunch of sharp chains in one of the other trucks, so I don't have to worry about sharpening chains or anything like that. Periodically, I'd say about every other week, I will wind up with a saw to bring home, and I do clean them up every time they come. There's little guards inside here. You got to pop the little screws out. They look just like these. It exposes all the chain brake mechanisms and all that stuff. I will clean those out every time I get a saw. Just kind of do a quick once over, because basically logging saws get abused beyond belief, especially when they don't get taken care of, and you're not going to take care of them that well when all they do is go to work every day. So when I do take them, I tend to do a little extra work and check them out. And same with my own, but mine doesn't get used that often, and if it does get used, I'm the one using it majority of the time. Another thing is gas for this saw versus the other saws. I do not run any of the gas that the company provides. I'm a stickler about the gas that we run. I don't believe it's good for the saws that we have, and I don't believe in changing gas and oil mix between saws periodically, and that's what would happen. So I have my own special saw mixture that I run in this, and there's 2 different kinds that I will run in this, but the one that I've been using most right now is actually VP Racing Fuels mix. You can get it in metal cans by VP, and it seems to really like that gas. It does give it some extra juice. I do have it cranked up quite a bit. The spark plug is kind of a whitish color. I've got it just about borderline of being too leaned out, but it works just fine. There's no damage happening, and that's where I like to run things. As far as company saws go, I will not get that drastic with them. I will turn them up a little bit, but I will not get too overboard with them, because I don't want the opportunity to have a dull chain and just have it wound out and then the saw blows up or something like that. That would be put on to me at the end of the day, basically. But anyways, so this is the other part of my little logging career that I do. I don't just run equipment and stuff. I take care of power tools and equipment, and I've got most of my stuff here. I don't have a shop or anything like that. I'm just using basically a bedroom and keeping my stuff kind of lined up in one spot. I'm really excited about it. Tomorrow I've got a new grinder coming, an Oregon grinder and a stand, so I'll be able to really do some work. I also do processor chains as far as sharpening. I have a little cheapy grinder that I bought from Harbor Freight. It does a good job. for the most part, but they don't last long. And with the amount of chains that I do wind up doing, the grinder has already showed signs of failing, so I needed to take matters into my own hands and do an upgrade. So I've got an Oregon grinder coming, extra stones, a stand. Then I'll be able to really do some good processor chains. There's still 2 or 3 in here that I haven't done because I couldn't get through them in a decent amount of time with the grinder that I have currently. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and button this up and do some last minute touch-ups on it and get it ready for the next work week. I'll try to post some more videos this week of what's going on at work. So bear with me on that, and I'll get to you guys later.